you do. Oh, that's probably right.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Andy Russell. I'm chairman of the Board of Finance here in Old Lyme.
I'm now claimed by Zoom, so now I can. That was the issue.
Put the mute on for a second. Hi, good evening. My name is Andy Russell. I'm chairman of the Board of Finance. We are here for the town of Old Lyme annual budget meeting. Obviously being done a little bit differently. I appreciate all of you being here. I have muted all the microphones temporarily just to get us through this opening part. Then I hope to unmute them. I will unmute them.
Are the razors too? I know you can get a haircut.
I guess I'll mute them again. I've got a few things to do before, as we start the meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the website at some point. So we'll start. Hopefully everybody can see that screen. Start with the call to the meeting, which this would normally be read by the town clerk, but because of the situation, we're just going to read it. So here we go. And you can see it on your screen, hopefully. Electors and citizens eligible to vote in a town meeting are hereby warned that the annual town budget meeting with the Board of Finance meeting and a Board of Finance meeting will be held virtually on Monday, May 18, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. In light of the closure of Town Hall due to the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Governor Lamont's executive orders 7I, 7S, and 7CC, the public and electors and citizens eligible to vote in the town meeting may listen to the meeting by calling the above phone number, which was in the legal notice for the meeting as well as on the town webpage, or to participate in the meeting. The Board of Finance, as authorized by the Board of Selectmen, will vote upon the draft budget, which budget will become the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Pursuant to Executive Order 7I, the draft budget may be found at, and there's the website where the budget was posted last week. And comments to the budget may be submitted prior to the meeting, and there's the email address. I will tell you that I did receive one comment and question, and I will go through that at the end of the presentation, but that was as of 7 o'clock tonight. So if something was sent after that, I'm sorry. So this meeting will, which will include a Board of Finance meeting for the budget presentation, will consider and act upon the following: to adopt the budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, as recommended by the Board of Finance and authorized by the Board of Selectmen. And to adopt a proposal that taxes in the town of Old Lyme on real estate and personal property shall be paid in 2 semi-annual installments, the first payment being due July 1st, 2020, and the second payment on January 1st, 2021. Any tax in these categories under $100 will be due in full in one payment in July 2020, as are vehicles on the supplemental tax list in July 2020 in one payment. So having done that, that was dated at Old Lyme, Connecticut, 13th day of May, 2020, signed by the Board of Selectmen, Town of Old Lyme, Timothy T. Griswold, First Selectman, Christopher Kerr, Selectman, and Mary Jo Nozel, Selectwoman. Thank them for their help on this as well as on the budget, as they're always very helpful. So what I'd like to do now, and I think I actually, to get there, to unmute the microphones, I would like to take roll.
Oh, Andy, just so you know, we couldn't see your screen share during that. I don't know if you mentioned you were sharing your screen.
I was. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. It might just be that it's got your PowerPoint loaded or something. I don't know.
Well, I read it word for word, so.
Yep, you did perfectly. you go.
We see that. Okay, that's not the whole PowerPoint, but that's all right. I'd like to leave that. There. And if we unmute. Unmute all. Could you help me out with that?
Since you're in the host role, I can't. Do you want me to?
It looks like I'm unmuted. Can you hear me, Andy?
I can.
So am I,
I
Andy.
think everybody is. Okay. So here I'd like to take the role of the members of the Board of Finance, just so we have it for the record. I'm Andy Russell, Chair. BJ Burnbloom, are you here? I can see you, but I can't hear you.
He's not unmuted.
Andy, if you
Do it. He may have to do it on his machine.
I did see you there, BJ.
yeah, and you can right click on his name or anyone's name to unmute them as well, Andy.
Yeah, but I don't have that participant window down my right side.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah, BJ is muted. BJ, if you move your mouse just a little bit, a bar should show up that shows you unmute.
Okay, well, we'll come back to BJ. Harold Garvin. I know I saw his name on the list.
Looks like he's muted.
Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second and see if I.
Andy, I think folks are individually muted. So they need to.
Unmute themselves.
Yeah, which is
Members
down
of the Board of Finance can unmute yourself. Appreciate it. I can't see them on my screen. That's.
It shows BJ and Grubb. Grubb's not muted now, and Matt muted.
I just came on. I heard Matt.
Okay, Matt Olson is here. Anna, I see you.
Yes, I'm here. Anna's here.
Thank you. I got David, got BJ, got Grubb.
Adam Burrows.
Adam, very good. Thank you, Adam. Jude Reed is here. Janet Sturgis is not joining us, and she designated Jude Reed sit in as a voting member. Okay. So we've got that part of it. Should have been that's probably the toughest part, hopefully. So I'm going to start this PowerPoint, hopefully. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so here we go. Again, budget for the town of Old Lyme. Members of the Board of Finance have participated in budget meetings from December through April with department heads, committee chairs, and our selectmen. We have specialists on the Board of Finance that meet with department heads, boards, and commissions prior to and during the budget process. We did hold our virtual budget hearing on April 20th, and here we are for the budget vote on May 18th. Okay. So here's a summary of the budget. The total government request, you can see approximately 9.8 million. Capital outlay about 1.4, giving us a total request of about 11,250,000. Region 18, our share, as you can see with the recent changes they've made to their budget, is staying flat. Our share is staying flat, bringing our total budget between Region 18 and the town to 805,674, or actually a quarter, slightly over 0.25% drop in the actual budget. I'm going to move into the revenue side of the budget, where there is an increase of about $47,000 in local revenue anticipated. Some of the key categories are beach stickers, our interest on investments, less money being spent on the senior center reimbursement, and transfer station revenue is up about $10,000, anticipated to be up about $10,000. Rogers Lake, we aren't going to be spending as much next year, so we're not going to receive as much back from the town of Lyme. We share.
Demonstration on how to use the raise hand feature in the WebEx Events Center. After you join the WebEx event, first, you need to open the participants list in the box in
I
the.
don't know who that is,
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
but if you could mute yourself, I appreciate it. I will probably give you a chance to speak at the conclusion. Next grouping of revenue. Our intergovernmental has a decrease, and that's mainly due to a number of projects where we received money from the state of Connecticut DOT in this current year's budget. About $427,000 for the replacement of the Mile Creek Road Bridge, as well as Soundview sidewalks, that's a $1,000 item. And we are anticipating a grant for repairs to the Grassy Hill Road Bridge from the DOT fiscal year. But that's still a drop of almost $500,000 in intergovernmental revenue. But those are tied to projects. So tied to expense items as well. Now we get into the expense side. General government is an increase of about 2.29% or $61,000. The main driving factors are salaries, which are contractual in some cases, but increases, as well as insurance. The bulk of that insurance is for health insurance. And there was we received 2 new fire trucks in this current year, so they cost more to insure than the 20-year-old that they replaced. Boards and commissions, about 11% decrease. Again, Economic Development Commission, it was funded a study this current year that's not being done next year. And RLA is Rogers Lake Authority. Again, they asked for less money for the lake. A lot of that has to do with weed management. Public Works, essentially flat. Park and Rec, an increase mainly due to seasonal employees. And that had a great deal of that increase had to do with the minimum wage increases that we've seen over the last few years. We have to stay up with that. And the WSB is White Sands Beach. That's a shared expense with White Sands Beach for a pump that sits at the entrance to our White Sands Beach parking lot. That pump gets filled with sand and has failed, and it's been repaired. But it's a shared expense with the White Sands Beach Association. Public safety, increase of approximately 4%. Again, municipal police driving that's salary, which is contractual. We have a police union. State trooper, a little more expensive trooper this year than we had this past year. And minor increases in Valley Shore Communication, and we pay Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for people to run the ambulance for us because there are not enough volunteers in town Monday through Friday during that time frame. So that's a small salary increase there. Social services and senior citizens, again, this is operating budget. Old Lyme Visiting Nurses Association, they requested about $2,000 less. And then estuary services, same thing, about $4,700 less. And there was a nominal increase to the LYSB budget request. Capital project funds. Again, a slight decrease. We spent a great deal of money this past year on upgrading the town's technical, our IT, our computers, our networks throughout town hall and other buildings. So we're not spending that again. We put money aside for reval every year, as well as we're increasing the road improvement budget from $630,000 to $700,000 to keep up with our road maintenance. And that should be park recreation facility equipment. That's a fund that was set up to save for park and rec equipment, such as playgrounds, infrastructure items that may come up. We decrease the amount of money needed for fire equipment, apparatus and equipment, because we have income coming in that I'll get into later on. We sold 2 tankers that just went out of service and were replaced. So we have $80,000 that at a later date will be transferred into this fire apparatus and equipment account. So we didn't need to budget as much in this current year's budget for those items. We're still on track to replace the next fire trucks that need to be replaced in about 5 years. And we build the money up for that. Grants to nonprofit increases. Old Lyme Phoebe Griffin Noyes Library was a $10,000 increase. In Lyme Academy, this is a placeholder. It's $1,000. We've been working with them on some things that they may need our help with from the town in order to keep the operation moving forward. Private beach associations, there's no change in our allocation to those. Sanitation and recycling. Mainly it's our cost, the CRRA and the mirror costs of disposing of our garbage. The cost per ton has gone up significantly. We really don't have much control over that, except for recycling more stuff, keeping it in the green can and not in the blue can. The fewer tons we send there, the less money it will cost us. Debt service, it is an increase, and that's mainly due to we're starting to pay both principal and interest on the library bond that we started this year. So that'll really be the first full payment coming in next year's budget. Capital non-recurring expenditures increase about 15% in this category. We've got some doors at Town Hall that need replacing. We're going to be painting one side of Town Hall. And that's the process we're going to do each year, probably painting one side so over the next 4 years, Town Hall will be painted. We also have some HVAC work that needs to be done in Town Hall. There's money in here for a sound view survey to identify town-owned properties in the sound view area. And then some money for the senior center to do an evaluation of their needs, a needs analysis of the programming and the needs of the town at the senior center, as they've grown tremendously in the attendance and what they have going on at the senior center. Public Works, capital and non-recurring, no change. That's a $5,000 line. Capital non-recurring public safety, a decrease. But it still includes things like doors and locks replacement at all fire stations, Boughton Road Firehouse, air conditioning and furnace replacement. Fire department also needs to replace, they have air bottles that are aging out. They must be replaced. As well as next year, we'll be purchasing 2 new police vehicles. Once in a while, we get stuck in that mode. We normally try to do 1, but every 5 years or so, we end up having to replace 2. And that's for those vehicles to be properly outfitted. Capital non-recurring, public works, roads, and projects. You saw in the income side, you saw the money from the state DOT. That helps offset that $592,000 anticipated for the Grassy Hill Road bridge replacement. We've got some sidewalks along Ferry Road that need to be replaced. And we've pretty much got our public works facility right up to snuff where we need it. The last thing remaining is to pave the area, the open area where the vehicles come and go to the pumps and everything. That's really the last big item out there. And that'll be a very squared away facility. So that brings us to our grand list summary, which is that top line is really, to be honest with you, the telling tale behind why there's an increase that's going to have to be asked of the taxpayers. The grand list is off by about $40 million. We do anticipate our collection rate to be at least 98.25%, bringing the net taxable grand list down to that $519,359,127, down to the $35,289,287 for net tax requirement. So I carry those numbers onto the next page. We have some adjustments that are made. Those do show on the budget sheet. Those are mainly for some of our senior housing where we do give them tax credits. So the other question that comes up is how much is sitting in our unreserved or undesignated fund? And this gives you a little bit of a history for the last 7 years as to where that account sat as of an audited figure as of the close of June 30th of each year. And you can see last year we had about 9.2 million, or 25% of our budget was sitting there as undesignated. And that's, I don't want to call it a rainy day fund, but it is there. And we've been advised by our auditors that that's probably an appropriate percentage for a few reasons. That if we get hit with a storm and we need to fix things in our town, we have the cash available to do so. We don't have to depend on the federal government or state government to help us out. Even if we end up getting reimbursed down the road, it's helpful to have that cash on hand. As well as when we go to borrow. That is one thing that the bonding agencies look at, and the better your bond rating, the lower the interest rate that will be available to you. And that, our bond rating is what helps Region 18 when they go to borrow money, along with the town of Lyme's bond rating, to borrow funds at a very low interest rate. We also build up money in our fund balances. We set aside money. Reval, the top line item there, capital non-recurring reval, 135,000. So when we do a full reval of the town, which is more expensive than what happens in between, we don't have to have a big spike in that budget. The town building fund, if something in town hall or any of our town-owned buildings, we need some money, it's there. Land acquisition is for open space. Again, these are the balances as of June 30th, 2019. These balances will not be the same on this year, June 30th. There was land acquired in the last 8 months. Firefighters equipment, same thing. That 802 was there last June. We purchased, since then, we've purchased and paid for 2 trucks. So we have to start building that fund back up. There is about 30,000 in the Haynes Park Boathouse Fund. Road improvement fund is another thing we're looking to build up. We had $203,000 there. And then we did put last year, we put $500,000 in the library improvement fund, and that money is in the process of being spent as they redo the library. And these are some other uses. That $9.2 million was our balance as of June 30th. You can see some other things that we've done since then that have knocked that down about $350,000. Mile Creek Road Bridge additional cost was $328,000. That was approved at a town meeting. We did give the Lime Academy $8,750 for their strategic plan that they worked on last year. Our fire department, you've probably noticed these signs around town with the big W on them in order to maintain our rating for our own personal, yours and mine, house insurance. By labeling those fire wells, that helps us all. The ISO rating. And we had some hose that needed to be replaced as well as part of that look that was unanticipated, some hose for the fire department. And the Harbor Commission needed some money, which the Board of Finance approved. Board of Finance can approve a line item up to $20,000 during the budget year. If it's over that, it does have to go to town meeting. So that gives us the balance. This is the estimated, a keyword estimated balance as of 6/30/2020. That doesn't mean that number won't grow if we don't spend our whole budget this current year. As part of this proposal for a budget, I carried that $8,902,000 forward, and to help keep the mill rate down. And we had a lot of discussion about this, and we've done this in the past, and we did it last year. We are recommending taking $800,000 from that surplus and putting it into the budget to help soften the blow of that mill rate. And some of the things that'll help go towards are the $70,000 we spoke about increasing our road fund for maintenance of our roads, the Grassy Hill Bridge project, as well as the Ferry Road sidewalk. So those are some of the things, although maybe not directly, but they'll help underwrite and keep our town moving forward. So where does that leave us? We've seen that gross property tax requirement before, the $35,239,157. It's slightly less than a 1% increase total budget. And what that does to the mill rate is it moves it from 22.41 to 23.2, or 3.52% increase. You can see down the bottom that a mill in our town equals about $1.5 million now. So what does that mean to a taxpayer? First example, if somebody has a home appraised at $347,000, the assessed value is 70%, or $243,000. Currently, this year, they would have paid approximately $5,446. Next year, it would be $5,638. And you can see the three examples just to give you an idea as to how that impacts a typical homeowner. What are things down the road? The sewer project pump station is something that's moving along, and even though the bulk of that will be paid for by users, in term there will be some town financial participation. We're looking at starting to build up our stock of trash recycling cans as they age. We don't want to have to buy them all at one time, but we are going to have to spend some money each year to do that, as literally the wheels start coming off them. And then we're not sure what the study will show out at the senior center as to whether there's going to be expansion necessary, or certainly renovation. There are some projects out there that do need to get done. Unknowns. So what I'd like to do, I think at this point, if possible, number one, before I unmute the microphones, I did, as I said, I received one question from a gentleman over in Stonewood who was concerned about the stress on households. I think this is something that's on everybody's mind, including the Board of Finance. Stress on household and businesses resulting from the epidemic, along with the drop in the grand list, contributing to a 4% tax increase to meet the proposed budget. Gentleman says, I appreciate the board has put forth a responsible budget as usual. I also recognize that perhaps savings will occur in the upcoming year to reduce expenses, and this is an appropriate time to tap into the town's surplus. No one knows for sure how the economy will fare over the next few years, but it seems prudent to consider reducing, defraying some spending in the upcoming budget. Thank you for consideration. My response is basically, while this budget was developed during January, February, and early March, before really the pandemic took hold, we did, as a Board of Finance, talk about that, and we did push some capital items out a little bit. Our concern with pushing other items out is they're eventually going to need to get done, and we don't want them to pile up where we have a year where we have to really increase that capital budget. We also have enjoyed a very good collection rate of our taxes, and realizing that that doesn't mean we're going to have that in the future. We budget for a 98.25% collection rate currently as of the end of April. In the current year, we've collected 99.14% year to date. Again, realizing that next year there may be some struggles for businesses and individuals. The Board of Finance meets on a monthly basis. The Board of Selectmen meet on a more regular basis, and we will keep an eye on it. If the revenues are not coming in the way we are accustomed to, if we have to make modifications during the budget year and push projects out or make other changes, I know we'll discuss those as a board. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I may be able to what I'd like to do is I'm going to unmute everybody, but I would like, before we get into any discussion on the budget, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the budget as presented and get that seconded by the Board of Finance. That's who's voting on the budget tonight. And
Andy, this is Dave Kelsey. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, David. Do I hear a second from a Board of Finance member?
I'll second, Andy. It's Jude Reed.
Thank you very much, Jude. Okay. I am going to play a wild card here and honestly try to unmute. I think I unmuted everybody. I don't know if it's a little delay. It looks like all the little red microphones went off.
You unmuted us.
Yep. Do any of the Board of Finance members have any comments or questions? Very quiet out there. And I want to thank the members of the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen and the two Michelles and Nicole, our Director of Finance, for all their help during this process. It doesn't look like there are, I'm just scrolling down the list. It looks like we have about 20 people total here, maybe 25. Are there any questions from anybody in the public?
Dave, a private citizen.
Yes. Please identify yourself with a first and last name.
David Cleary. I am interested in one item of the budget for the Memorial Day Parade, which I thought was canceled. And I think it was $25,000. Can that money be reallocated to the volunteer fire equipment, something like that?
The $25,000 that you're seeing in this budget is for next year's Memorial Day Parade, which hopefully we'll be able to hold a Memorial Day Parade in 2021. There's money in the budget for Memorial Day Parade. We really can't reallocate that, and I don't know that we need to reallocate that for the equipment fund we'll be just fine when we need the next set of equipment. What'll end up happening with that, end up being unspent and will end up going back to surplus.
Okay, thank you. I had my ears off, so I appreciate your input.
No, I appreciate you being here and your question. Anybody else?
Andy?
Yes, sir. Mr. Griswold.
Just want to make mention of the fact that the Board of Selectmen approved the low interest rate option for taxes due on on July 1.
Yep.
And the way it works is normally if you do not pay your taxes by the end of July, then they accrue at 18% per annum, 1.5% a month. The governor's executive order has reduced that for the quarter from 18% to 3%. So if you pay your taxes within a month, no problem. If you go into August, then retroactive back to July, there would be interest at 0.25% per month, so 0.5% for July and August. And if you were not to pay your taxes in September, that would be yet another 0.25%. So the program ends at the end of September. So as of October, whatever is still outstanding snaps back to the 18% retroactive to July 1. But it does give people some benefit for the period, that quarter. So hopefully people are aware of that if they need that. And there'll be an insert in the tax bills discussing that in more detail.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. So we do have a motion and a second on the table to adopt the budget for fiscal year July, beginning July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Any other questions on that? And again, this is a vote by the members of the Board of Finance. So I think probably the best way to do this is to go through, and I'll go through the list, the roster of the voting members tonight, and get a yay or nay, please. BJ Burnblum. Hopefully you're unmuted. Yay, I see your hand up. Okay, thank you. Grub Garvin. I can't see Grub. I can't hear Grub. I see a hand up in the air, Grub, on your, okay. David Kelsey.
I vote aye.
Okay. Anna Reeder.
Aye.
Jude Reed voting for Janet Sturgis.
Aye.
And that takes care of the voting members. So that passes. Thank you very much. The next item, and we're into our regular Board of Finance meeting now, is to adopt the proposal to tax the town of Old Lyme on real estate and personal property to be paid in two semi-annual installments, the first payment being due July 1, 2020, and the second payment on January 1st, 2021. Any tax in these categories under $100 will be due in full in one payment in July 2020, as are vehicles on supplemental tax list in July 2020 in one payment. I'm just reading what was given to me. Do I hear a motion for that from a member of the Board of Finance, please?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I saw Anna's hand.
Oh, Anna, good.
Anna's got it. I only have about 4 faces on my screen here. So,
Doesn't matter.
some of that motion over there. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? We should poll again. I guess just go around the room. BJ. See your hand go up. You're one of the few screens, one of the few members I have on my screen. Grub Garvin. I see your hand go up on your, you did it over on the participants. Good job, Grub. I haven't found that item yet. Dave Kelsey.
Aye.
Anna. I know you're there somewhere. I can't see you now.
She raised her, there we go.
Raise your hand. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the help on this. And Jude Reed.
Aye.
Okay. Those are the only items on the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Member of the Board of Finance.
So moved.
Second, somebody?
Aye.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not going to ask for a poll on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyway, you can't really object to adjourning a meeting. I just want to thank the Board of Finance, but I want to also thank the public for sticking with us through this. And, you know, it's an odd process. We're not used to it. We'd rather be in a room with everybody and see your faces and have you see our faces live and in person. But this is the way we have to do it this year. But we thank you, and everybody be safe and healthy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Penny.